Hey, what's up, Next Level crew? Welcome back to another episode of What's Your Next, the podcast where you'll find insightful information on business and franchises. And today we actually have a really good one, and that is laid off or burned out, your franchise escape plan. Sounds fun, right?
Welcome to What's Your Next. This is the go-to podcast for aspiring business owners who want to get to the next level, escape the rat race, and give their middle finger to the corporate 9-to-5. If you want financial freedom, work-life balance, and the business of your dreams, you're in the right place. Dave and Stacy Riska, husband-wife franchising duo, openly share their successes, failures, and lessons learned in franchising, business ownership, and working with your spouse.
So I'm sure a lot of you today can relate to this. You're working hard and you're either completely overwhelmed or burned out at work, or you've recently been laid off. Seems like it's in the news every day. Even the government is letting people go today. So we wanted to cover this topic and give you some insights into what franchises might mean to somebody who is in this situation. Mm-hmm. So let's start with mindset, Stacy. What should someone ask themselves first before even considering making the leap to something like a franchise?
Right. I'm glad we're covering this topic because so many candidates are reaching out to us. You can see like the fire coming out of their ears. They are stressed out. They're burnt out. They're like, I need to make a change. But on the other side, they're just not sure what to do. And so I think the answer to your question, Dave, relates back to something you're passionate about in helping our candidates get clarity on, which is their why. It's the mindset of why would I want to own a business? What would my outcome be? And so elaborate on that. Why do people really need to, why is that the first step that they need to get focus on?
Well, it's critical because when we talk to our candidates, when we're looking to find a franchise that is going to light their fire, we'll call it that, we really need to know why they want to even be in business for themselves. What's the passion that's pushing them into this? Is it just because they're burnout? Is it just because they just lost their job and they're frustrated? I mean, those are actions to put fire under them to want to do something like this, but it really comes down to why do they want to do something like this? Because if we're going to help them, there's so many franchises out there today, we really want to make sure that we're going to give them the best opportunity for success based on why they want to be in business. And that's, kind of the overview of that. It can go in a lot of different directions, but that's the general point. And based on that, Stacy, are there models that are especially good for career changers?
Yeah. So let's say you're thinking of exploring your next. Well, we're going to help you look at the skills, the traits, the talents of what you were doing before that might translate well to business ownership. So let's say you were really great at coaching people and building teams. Well, there's franchises related to coaching and consulting and management and training. Maybe those would be a good fit. So part of what we're going to be looking at is, do you want to do something similar to what you were doing before, or are you open to making a new change and maybe exploring something completely different that you never even thought of, but yet you could be a good match for it? Think about our coffee smoothie business, right? Did we wake up saying we want to work behind a tiki bar?
Kind of.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Fun. When you think back about that, it's true. We probably did want to work behind a tiki bar. Again, what was our why?
Right.
We wanted to work behind a tiki bar. All right. So I'm totally burned out and I'm looking for a franchise. Do I need to go in all the way immediately if I were to make some type of transition like this?
Right. Because that sounds really scary, right? Do I just pull the plug and one day just open a business? The good news is there's options and we can go as far and as fast as you want. A lot of people who are considering making the change from career to business ownership, you can do it in a semi-absentee model. So if you find the right concept, many franchises allow for semi-absentee ownership, which means you're going to hire a manager out of the gate. And this will then allow you, if you want, to keep your job, or maybe just slowly transition in because you're going to work more on the business rather than in the business. The caveat to consider with that is that would then entail a larger initial investment because you're going to be investing to bring that manager in out of the gate.
Okay, well, that's a good answer. I can't argue with that. And let's talk about the situation of a layoff. You've been laid off. What does the path look like for someone who might be going from layoff to franchise ownership?
Well, certainly the first stop on the road is a conversation with us. Be open to learning and exploring, and consider that we're going to hand you the keys to the buggy and we're going to go on a journey together. We have our own 9-step proprietary system called the Franchise Roadmap that we guide you through to help you determine which concepts would be a good match and get you to the end of the road so you can successfully launch your new business. What that looks like in quick summary is getting clarity on, as Dave said, your why and your strengths and the traits you bring to business ownership. We'll match you then to the concepts that would be a good fit. We'll introduce you to the franchises. You start doing some due diligence, determining which concepts make a good fit. Eventually, when you've got it winnowed down, you're going to get to go to Discovery Day. Our candidates love that part of the process because you get to meet the leadership team, meet other franchisees. And then ultimately, we're also going to help you with the funding piece, the FDD. There's a lot that goes into it. So it's definitely not something that you want to take on and try and conquer by yourself.
Absolutely. We're going to get to, so my next question is exactly around that. What about fear? Right?
Fear?
It's a pretty big leap for many, right? To go from a job that they've had for many years to owning a business or a franchise.
It is. And we've been there as well. Dave and I both came from a job, and we took the entrepreneurial leap of faith and started a business from scratch. It can be scary not knowing that paycheck's coming in every 2 weeks. I kind of look at it as the other way, as a positive. To me, it puts the fire under your arse to make it happen, because whatever your why is, if it's freedom, flexibility, you want to travel, you want more time with your kids, you want more fun, then that's going to be the core reason, your why of owning that business, and you're going to do what it takes to make it happen so you can achieve that.
Absolutely. I mean, that is absolutely true. And how about any final thoughts here, Stacy? I mean, this is, for many, as I mentioned, it can be a fairly big leap going from a career they were in. And in some cases, depending on their why, could end up in a completely different industry or type of business than they even thought of when they first started talking to us. Are there any final thoughts or suggestions you might give to somebody that is about to take this trip?
Yeah, to me, it's a big difference of where you're in a job and you may feel stuck and you feel like you have no help, no support, nothing, right? You're almost feel like you're on your own island. You're not going to experience that in a franchise business because they're going to be committed to your success. You're going to get the support, the operations, the marketing, and you have all of the franchisees around you. So if you're ever having a bad day, you can pick up the phone and talk to them and see what they did to get through that struggle or that challenge. You are never going to feel alone, perhaps how you might be feeling in a job as you will in your own business as a franchise owner.
Absolutely. And there's so many support mechanisms built into franchises and franchising. I think that's one of the critical reasons why it's a really good fit and opportunity for many types of folks who might be in that situation where they're just fed up with their job, they're burnt out, and they're just looking for something different. So I think that's it for today's episode. Thank you again for joining us today. We really appreciate it. If you could do us a favor and click on the buttons below, the like, the subscribe, all those, the bells, all those kind of good things. It helps us out with the Google algorithm, and we greatly appreciate your time today, and we'll catch you on the next episode of What's Your Next.